Alright guys, welcome to part 2 on the 1984 Kawasaki Kx250. Last video, if you guys missed it, I'll try to leave it up here. We picked this thing up for, I think it was like, I picked up 4 bikes for $600, and this one was like the worst one. So this one was like right around 75 bucks I picked this thing up for. So last video, we took apart the top end and found that the piston was missing rings. So I don't really know why it was missing rings. I don't know why the previous owner took off the rings. I don't know if he used them for a different piston or what, but the piston looked good and the cylinder right here looked good. No scoring on the cylinder at all. So basically, I just bought new rings for it, and these are stock OEM rings. You can see the part number right here, 13008-5008, and I looked up some cheaper rings, Skill rings, and they said they wouldn't work for this piston. So I had to go with the OEM rings. These are from Canada. I had to pay like I think it was like $78 for these, for 2 rings, which is insane, but they're the only ones on eBay. So we got the rings. They look like they're in good condition. They're brand new, so they should be. But you can see one ring is lipped like that. It has like a little lip on it. And the other ring is flat. And then there's a little N right there. And the N always points up on the rings. So we also got a new gasket kit for it. Top end gasket kit. You can see this one is for the head. And then there's a base gasket in there as well. You can see the base gasket on here has seen better days. So I figured, why not just replace them? I think the gasket kit was like 30 bucks. So right now we've got about 200 bucks into this bike, and we don't know if it runs yet. So the crank on this thing was fine last time we checked. Not much play in it. No up and down play at all. So that's good. And then the radiator looked good. Everything else looked good on the bike. I bought this new kick lever for it. This is just a Chinese knockoff. I could not find an original KX from 1984 Kx250 lever. So this was a 16 millimeter Chinese brand, and fit right on there. So we'll bolt that down later today. If it works, it works, right? And I think that'll work great. We still have to clean up the carburetor as well on this thing, but we'll get to that once we get the top end all together here. So let's get this old crusty gasket off of there. You can see it's all gunked up. We'll put a towel in here and then scrape that old gasket off with a razor blade. And then we'll get the rings on here. And then we've got to hone out the cylinder still, deglaze that, and then we'll reassemble everything. Gotta get that gasket off too. Looks like that's never been off before. So yeah, should be fun. We'll see if she runs. Also missing the pipe. So if it runs, we might grab a pipe for it and a couple plastics. It's missing the back fender and the front fender. But we've got the seat and we've got the gas tank and the shrouds. So, oh, and the air filter. So it's missing quite a bit of things, but the main goal is to get it running, and then we can go from there. We'll start by getting this old gasket off, using a brand new razor blade. A lot of people don't like to use razor blades because they're afraid it's gonna score the metal, but if you're careful, it won't. And it looks like there's just silicone on here, actually, now that I'm looking at it. So I don't even think there was a gasket on here. There was at one point, but there's not much left of it now. See, a little bit's coming off. Not a whole lot. So we're going to open up the new gasket kit here and get one of these gaskets out. We'll see if it fits. Hoping. It's a thin paper one. So this is gonna go, yeah, that looks like it's gonna fit. Let's just make sure before we put the silicone down. Looks like the gasket fits on there. We're gonna put some gasket maker underneath just to make sure that seals nicely. A couple people in the comments were wondering what I use for gasket maker. It's called Ultra Gray Gasket Maker, high torque, Permatex, and I bought this from Advanced Auto Parts. So it works pretty well. Haven't had anything leak with this stuff, so you know it's good when it doesn't leak. Let's get this gasket back off. Just gonna put a little bit of this on there. Just enough to hold it down. Don't have to go crazy on it. The gasket back on. See, that sits nice and flat now. Alright, next thing we're going to do is measure the ring gap on the cylinder right here. So this is the bottom of the cylinder. This is where the cylinder is the largest. So we're going to just put the ring in there and see what we get for a ring gap. That looks pretty good already, tell. But those two come together closer right in there. So that's probably... That's pretty small, but that'll be fine. We can measure it quick, actually. Let's measure it quick. All right, get the feeler gauge out. Let's see what we got. Smaller than that. Looks like we're 16 thousandths. I'm going to look up the specs for the ring gap and see what they're supposed to be. Alright, according to the manual it says, I'm looking up right here, it says for the Kx250 standard ring gap is supposed to be between 0.25 and 0.45 millimeters. And as you can see, 16 thousandths is 0.406. So we are in spec. So it's on the larger side, but we're still within spec. We're gonna check the other ring and see what that is next. So that ring's good. It'll be fine too. We'll go right to 16 thousandths just to see if it's there. That one's a little tight. That one's a little tight too. There. So that one is 14 thousandths or 0.356 millimeters. So anywhere between that 0.25 millimeters and point, I believe it was 4.5, were good. So this one's in spec as well. So we can go ahead and use these rings. We'll install these on the piston next, and then we'll get to honing out the cylinder. All right, we're gonna mount the piston rings now. There's one ring that's just completely flat like that. See how it's just flat? And there's a little N right there. The N always faces up. And then we've got one ring like this. See how it's grooved out right there? That's gonna be the top ring, because you can see the piston right here is tapered on the end. So it can really only go in one way. But on a two-stroke, there's little pins in the piston that you can line up the ring with. So in this one, you can see it's right there. So we'll do the bottom ring first with the end up. So we'll go like this. It's pretty easy to do. And it just pops in, and you can see it compresses nicely. So that's the first ring. Second ring, same thing, except the tapered side is going to be up, so it can wrap around the top part of it, and there should be a little pin somewhere on here. Usually it's towards the back. It's right here. So the little pin is right here on the side. Go like this. Put one end in the groove. Get the other one going. Kind of work that in. You can see that there. And see how that compresses nicely. So those rings are all set to go. And the arrow on the piston is pointing towards the exhaust. We're going to lube up the piston after we hone the cylinder. Alright, time to hone out the cylinder. We're using a ball hone. This is for a 250cc bore, and usually this fits in there pretty good. It's going to be snug, but this is usually a two-stroke honing tool, because these little balls go right past the ports and it doesn't grab them. Unlike a standard hone, the one that springs open, that kind of tends to, the edges tend to get stuck in those ports, and it wrecks the cylinder. So I like the ball hone for two strokes, and then I like to use a little two-stroke oil just to lube around here, oil it up. People use like honing oil and stuff, doesn't really matter. Little two-stroke oil action. Just get that nice and lubed up. And I cleaned out the cylinder before I did this so we don't get any rust grinding in there. But there, now it's all lubed up, and then I've got that hone attached to my drill. What we're gonna do is go one direction in and out like this way, up and down without stopping, and then we're going to switch the drill and go the other way, up and down without stopping, and that'll give you the nice hash lines in there, and you'll have crisscrossing lines, and that's what you want. So let's get to honing here. Get it down in there first. That's a tight fit. All the way down and switch. And you will see that just a little bit of honing is all you need. And it took off all that crap in there. So we're going to do one more pass. You can see the lines are already in there. See those hash lines? So we'll do a couple more passes with it. but we're almost there already. We're gonna put it there. Alright, that should be good. That looks really good in there, actually. Alright, that's awesome. So the honing's done. We're going to clean out the cylinder really nicely. Can use some brake cleaner. Maybe even dunk it in some water. Just to get all those particles out of there. And I'll show you guys the hash lines after I get it cleaned up. Alright, as you can see, cylinder is done. You can see the hash lines crisscrossing. See that nice crisscross X pattern? That's what you're looking for. But the cylinder looks really good. We're going to clean out this gasket surface right here next, and then this one right here. Clean off that surface a little bit. There's a little bit of leftover gasket on there. Not a whole lot, but this is a brass wire wheel on the Dremel, so it's really soft. Next, we'll get this gasket off. There's still a little bit of silicone left on this one. Let's see. That's looking pretty good. So, cylinder's ready to be put back on. We're gonna do one more cleaning and then we'll put the cylinder on. Right, time to get the cylinder on. We're gonna lube up the piston and the piston rings with some oil, some 2-stroke oil. Make sure the rings move freely. Alright, then we're going to lube up the cylinder as well. Alright, cylinder's all lubed up. Gotta make sure our piston rings are in the right position here. Alright, just give it a couple spins to make sure the piston's moving up and down. Seems pretty smooth in there. Alright, we'll get this torque down now. We'll look up the torque specs. I don't know what they are, so there's going to be 4 bolts on the perimeter of the cylinder. So these 4 nuts around the cylinder, these are going to be 25 foot-pounds. So let's start torquing some of these down. Actually, that has to go right there. That's 25. Over here. That's 25. 25, and then one more over here. Try to get to that. Perfect. Here is the gasket right here. I believe that goes down like that. All right, according to the diagram, this little cutout slit right here goes towards the left of the bike. This knob goes to the front of the bike. So it's gonna sit like this. And then, I'm looking at the diagram right here, by the way. And that like that. So like that. And that'll get crimped down. So that's how that goes on. And then these are going to be 18 foot-pounds all the way around. That's all good to go. Oh, that's smooth. That's really smooth. And the compression is going to be lower until those rings seat. All right, we're going to put the spark plug in first and see if we've got spark. Do we have a coil? I think we checked for spark already on this. I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe we didn't. I don't think we did, actually. Let's see if we got some good spark here. If not, we've got other things to worry about. Uh-oh. No spark there. Not seeing anything. Let's clean off the boot in here and see if maybe that's... Yeah, no spark at all. Alright, still no spark. We're going to take apart this connection. I already cleaned it with some WD-40. We're going to take a little sandpaper and clean off those connectors in there. Sometimes those can get corroded. And it looks like these might be a little bit. Yeah, in here. Just to get that rusty surface off of there. Can make a better connection. And we'll work it in there a little bit. Just gonna... Alright, and then work this one a little bit. That one's kind of loose on there. There, that's nice and tight. Alright, let's check for spark again. Oh yeah. We got some spark. See that nice blue spark? Alright, that's awesome. Get the compression gauge going in there. Let's see if it still turns over with that in there. Oh, that's good compression. Yeah, I think we're going to be golden for compression. I already can tell it's over 100. Alright, I'll kick this over a couple times. Zero that out. We don't have the carburetor on there, so we can just hold it like that. It's leaking from somewhere. There we go. Well, we're over 100 already. I gotta get this kick lever bolted down. I don't have to strip. But we're at like 110 right now. So that's without even starting the bike. That's pretty good. It'll have a lot more once those rings get seated. Alright, let's take a little peek in here. I'm not sure if I cleaned this carburetor or not. I might have cleaned it last video. I'm working on so many projects, it's hard to keep track. These feel pretty loose, so I might have cleaned this already. Cannot remember. That looks pretty clean already. There's a little bit in the bowl. We'll take it apart and clean it. May as well, there's a little bit in that bowl. And I don't think that would have gotten in there if I cleaned it, so I don't think I cleaned it. But it looks pretty clean, it's not too bad. We'll take apart all the jets and everything. Clean it with some carb cleaner, then blow through it with the air compressor, and we should be good. Alright, we gotta cut some gas line for this thing. Goes in over there. We got the carburetor all cleaned out, all installed. This is gonna wrap around to the back over here, and we'll have to cut it over here. You can see the petcock is right there. Like right there is fine. That petcock is definitely broken. I don't know if the gas tank is going to work. Gas tank is all cleaned out though, so there's really nothing in there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but gas tank is clear. Let's put some gas down and see what happens. Hopefully she fires up. Will she fire up, or will she not? That was almost bad. Almost forgot to check for the oil. See if there's any in there. Is there a window? Oh, there's a window right there. There's a little window on the side right there. We're gonna add a little oil. that loud? Holy cow. Well, she lives. That was insane. I totally forgot there wasn't a pipe on it. And we don't have the coolant hooked up either, so I didn't want to run it for too long. But she runs. Man, sounds pretty good. From what I could hear, I had to instantly close my ears because I thought my eardrum was gonna pop out. But yeah, wow, she's a runner. I think next video we'll probably hook up the clutch, try to look for a pipe, get some oil, flow into it, get the coolant line hooked up, get some coolant to it, hook up the seat, try to find some fenders. I think I've got some Kawasaki fenders up here somewhere, or a Honda fender I could use. Oh, I think I've got some plastic somewhere. I thought I did. But we can do all that stuff and attempt to take her for the first ride. I'm just happy it runs after the rebuild. So, another success. Should we see if it fires up one more time? Man, is that loud. But yeah, fired right back up. Things got high compression, I can tell you that. It's hard to kick over. On to part 3 coming up next. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are out.